Sandor Martin catches a stray as Devin Haney has to get something off his chest, takes a random shot at Sandor Martin, a guy he didn't fight. Find out in this video. Idiot. Devin Haney put this on his social media. On Twitter, he says, "Whatever happened to Sandor Martin, ? Y'all ain't mention him no more, huh? No Devin Haney, and nobody cares." Wow. Now, my thoughts, I think Devin Haney is doing a great job of making himself unlikable and harder to relate to him. Now, why do I say this? He just fought Ryan Garcia in April. The fight was not a good performance. Even though he's undefeated, based on Ryan testing positive, the world's seen the fight. So the fight itself, people, that's the last memory that people have of you in the ring. And since that point, it's been one thing after another. Going to ESPN saying you don't want a Ryan rematch because he could have really harmed you. I don't know if that was the correct look. Some of the things he said on social media, he had the little run-in with Tank Davis, the OC County Fair. He's at the Joshua Dubois unexpectedly, and then he outs Eddie Hearn. I made a video about it yesterday, so you guys could check that on the channel. Basically outing Eddie Hearn, saying, "I hit up Eddie Hearn. He's a fake dude. He's the fakest ninja in boxing, or the fakest dude I've ever met," because Eddie Hearn didn't supply him with tickets and he flew out all the way to the UK. But I talked about it in that video. I don't want to, spend too much time because that's why I make these individual pieces of content. Who does that and flies to another country and does an RSVP or get the ticket situation sorted? Now he's taking random shots as Sandor Martin. So this is all pretty much in the same day in a small span of time. The county fair, that wasn't that long ago. And then now you're complaining about tickets. You're doing this interview with Andre Ward. I don't think that did you any favors, because some of the stuff you were saying, he said stuff like, "I didn't do anything wrong. I was trying to think about it. Ryan did everything wrong before the fight and he tested positive. That's the only reason he lost." Things like this. And now you're taking shots at Sandor Martin. My thoughts on that, sounds good, but the reality is Devin Haney was the WBC champion, and he allowed the WBC, or wrote to them, to become the champion in recess. And now Albert Puello is about to fight Sandor Martin. And he's saying, what happened to him? Why you aren't mentioning Sandor Martin? Because Top Rank hasn't announced the fight. So what is there to really say? Nobody said Sandor Martin was a superstar. So I feel like it's kind of redundant and kind of a stupid tweet, because no one claimed that Sandor Martin was this blockbuster Gervonta Davis Canelo face of boxing. And he's like, why aren't y'all talking about him? I'm sure people will talk about his upcoming fight once it's announced, but there's not really much to talk about until that point. And here's the thing is, I don't even know if Sandor Martin speaks English. So he's probably in Spain chilling, waiting on his next assignment. So there's nothing really for us to talk about regarding Sandor Martin. But Devin and Shakur Stevenson, they do the same thing in terms of reliant on social media to kind of use it like Dear Diary and put their thoughts out. And this new Gen Z, it looks bad because some of what they're saying just sounds crazy. Like Canelo beat Berlanga, and Shakur Stevenson was rooting for Berlanga for upset of the year. And then after Canelo destroys and toys with Berlanga, Shakur Stevenson takes to social media and says something to the effect of like, "This fight proved to me how great I really am." And, he's just tweeting. He's injured right now, but he's tweeting about how great he is. And how did Canelo Berlanga prove anything about you when you weren't in the fight, right? And then now you have Devin Haney, and I guess he's trying to poke fun at Sandor Martin, but the reality is you had an opportunity to fight Sandor Martin. Eddie Hearn didn't bid on the fight, but Top Rank did and won, and you didn't fight him. So that's more important than, I guess, whatever statement you're trying to make by saying what happened to Sandor Martin. Now, it is very funny that the Haneyack content creators and the Haneyack channels refuse to talk about any news regarding Devin Haney unless they find it favorable. And it's the oldest trick in the book. So, for example, why am I the person who is doing my job great? I talk about anything. You guys need to observe that the game is looking weird. The Haney-ac content creators, right? Eddie Hearn and Devin Haney just had this weird beef, and I feel like I'm one of the only people talking about it on these platforms, because that shows you the Haney-acs have something to hide and they don't want to show you the truth. So why would you respect that as a fan? Again, I say this, there's a lot of low energy, low quality content, bad audio, bad visuals, lacking boxing knowledge, predictions always wrong. And if you're foolish enough to waste your time listening to sources in boxing that clearly aren't here to grow the sport of boxing or put much effort, just let me rush some videos out and clickbait videos, that's on you. But to me, I think it's bad when, if you're supposed to be a boxing reporter, you should do that as your job and cover everything that you possibly can, especially when it's pertinent. But that's why you guys subscribe to Boxing Ego. Notice when it comes to Ego, you get all the news. It's not my fight, so I don't have to hide anything. And that's the great thing about telling the truth. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything, But when it comes to Devin Haney, you don't really hear the Haney-ac channels and content creators talking anything about Devin beefing with Eddie Hearn. But Boxing Ego's talking about it. Fight Hype's talking about it. How come no one else seems to talk about it? Because they're trying to hide something, and it shows the level of bias. Now, this thing with Sandor Martin, again, I think it's in bad taste. You probably won't see many people outside of me talking about this unless it happens after I've outed the game for not talking about everything fairly. Listen, Devin, like I said, I feel like he's making himself unlikable. You didn't fight Sandor Martin. You had an opportunity to, so you pretty much are losing your belt to him. So you're trying to make a statement like, hey, no one cares about him unless my name's attached. No, it's just he never was a big star. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. It was your mandatory, and people wanted to see it. And the reality is, Devin said he's coming back possibly in December. Versus who? Who is Devin going to fight? Because as far as I'm concerned, after that Ryan Garcia fight, every fight that's remotely difficult on paper could be difficult and one to watch. Because until I see that Devin Haney is fighting exactly how he was prior to that fight, then I got to see it to believe it, put it that way. But as far as Sandor Martin, I don't really know why he caught a stray here. It is what it is.